So, alright guys, today it's my pleasure to have some of you once again in my channel. And it's been a long time, right?
Yeah, I think we haven't met for probably more than half a year, right?
Yeah, more than half a year, and now it's a great opportunity that I have some of you like in the last several weeks that I'm going back to Sweden, that we can gathering together and have this great chat. And today I bring some interesting topic to you guys with some of you that we are going to talk about.
Sure, let's just have a casual chat.
Yeah, so first I just want to ask you, Simon, you have been in Taiwan for like more than half a year, stayed
Right.
over there.
Correct.
And how was the life over there?
I think it was pretty nice. I mean, you can talk different aspects of life in Taiwan. So one of the thing I feel like I like most about Taiwan, I probably have mentioned in my video, that is just life in Taiwan is kind of free. I'm not saying like life here in China is not free, but in Taiwan you have the ability to live, I mean, what do you want to do, you know?
Okay.
So here in Shanghai, taking Shanghai as an example, here you can have a decent life, but the living pace here is quite fast.
Okay.
I mean, if you're from an ordinary family, you know, have an ordinary job, then you probably need to work your ass off in order to support your living here in Shanghai, right? The living cost here is just quite high. But in Taiwan, I would say it's not as good as some European country, but compared to Shanghai, the living standard is relatively well compared to the salary they make. So that's one of the things. So here in Shanghai, you feel like everything like is going so fast, like, right? But in Taiwan, you feel like people are more chill. They kind of enjoy their life. So there's good and bad. You can say in China it's a developing place, so that's why they have to, you know, work really hard to sustain their life. And but in Taiwan, maybe things are more developed, so people don't have to work that hard to, you know, get a decent living.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I talked to you a couple of times ago, and if we like do not have to participate into such kind of competition in mainland China, in Shanghai, because Shanghai is the most like busiest
place,
competitive place to live, and you will face a lot of competitions from the people, you know, coming from outside of Shanghai and try to search a job over here. And you know, for myself, I didn't participate into such kind of competition in this in last year, 2020. So I was living in a quite chill life as well here in Shanghai. But as I know, according to my experience, like I worked for multiple companies in Shanghai for more than 10 years. So I will say here the life is quite difficult if you want to make a living and try to provision your your mortgage.
Yeah, I agree.
Interest.
I also worked in Shanghai for a couple of years, and just actually after I got back to Shanghai, I heard from my parents that the real estate price here in Shanghai just got increased again, right?
Yeah.
Especially because of this pandemic. Probably people from the rural place, they find that the city's life is still way better than the life in the rural area. So all people, if they got money, they probably gonna pour some investment in those first tier cities. So I mentioned before, like here in Shanghai, a 5 million RMB apartment is kind of mediocre, right?
Yeah.
If you want to live in a central location with a decent size, I mean, 10 million is not something very expensive, right? A lot of people, they are willing to pour that money inside here. And also, I heard that in Beijing, there's some like a district which have very good like primary school or high school.
Oh yeah.
And then those place, the price is extremely expensive, and you get maybe one living room, one bathroom, one bedroom, and then it can cost like
besides
1,200 million RMB. So that's crazy. And just think about this, like the minimum wage or the average wage in those cities, they're not super high. I mean, maybe it's higher than some secondary or third tier city, but still it's probably maybe in Shanghai 8,000 RMB per month will be somewhat kind of average, right?
Yeah, we
average.
discussed this topic before.
Right. So if you want to, buy apartment here in Shanghai, it probably gonna take you years of like saving without spending a penny. So that's just kind of really really hard to make a decent living here without spending so much effort.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's talk back to Taiwan. Just like I mentioned, the real estate price in China, mainland China, is quite expensive. In Taiwan, still not cheap, but compared to the average salary they have, I think the number of years you will need to spend to make money to save apartment in Taiwan is still shorter than mainland China. So yeah.
I mean, I'm also very curious and in like travel to Taiwan and try to. I want to see the historical part of Taiwan. I want to see the traditional that Taiwan preserved, from the
Chinese
mainland,
culture,
Chinese culture, etc. And so maybe a little bit question is, have you traveled around Taiwan like last time when you were there, like cycling around?
Yeah, actually I've been to several places, but I haven't get enough time to just going deeper. So this time I actually went to several places. One of the place I visit constantly is the Gugong. I think that's the pavilion. So I forgot the name, but anyway, it's a museum, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the museum, they have all those ancient Chinese artifacts. So I think I visit like several times. So every time I go there, I've just got amazed by all the artifacts. They are made probably 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago.
Are those like historical relics? Are like transport from mainland China?
Yeah. So some people say, hey, they stole from China, but a lot of people, they think if they weren't preserved in Taiwan, then they probably got all destroyed during the Cultural Revolution, right?
Sure.
So
that's true.
Yeah. So and that's one of the places I visit the most, and some other places. This time I didn't get a lot of chance, but we do constantly go to night market in Taiwan. So yeah, I also mentioned that. I mean, in Shanghai we also have some night market, right? But you guys don't go there. We don't go there, right? Do you?
I went to a night market in Hangzhou, and after that I went to diarrhea.
That's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, for those like market street food, I think in mainland China we also have a lot of place to visit. But maybe I don't know, the food quality, maybe it's a little bit different.
What I think of is that in mainland China, those street markets are designed toward tourism or toward travelers, but not to local people. So in Shanghai, if you say there are a bunch of night market, well, not much, but I feel like the local people will never ever go there, right? Yeah. But in Taiwan, it's like night market are very down to earth, very popular. People living near the place, they will go there maybe even every single day. So, and I think one of the thing why night market in Taiwan are so good is because the rental fee is still relatively cheaper compared to a lot of real estate rental fee here in especially in Shanghai, right? So that's why you can give your customers some pretty high quality food with a reasonable price. But here in Shanghai, it's quite challenging to do that, right?
Since I haven't been to Taiwan, and
Yeah, you should.
I'm just trying to get some information, and later on, after the pandemic,
Hopefully, you can visit.
finished or in the future, then I'll maybe stay 30 days over there and just like what you did, cycling or just travel the entire island.
Right, you should do that. And another thing I feel like I like about Taiwan is that people here, they're friendly, and especially people who work for the government. Like I have a chance to visit several departments there in Taiwan to do some paperwork, and then everybody have smiley faces, and you just feel welcome.
That's very important, for the travelers, because the safety is the first concern when you travel to a strange place. So if people over there are friendly, then it give you more, motivation to visit the place and communicate with the locals. Yeah. So anyway, this is the first question that I want.
Okay, so maybe we can move on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. So next topic. It is quite related to what we are doing. It is about our China YouTubers.
Sure.
And just like 1 month ago, I think the Times News, the British newspaper, released a report on the pro-China YouTubers.
Okay.
And I don't want to dig into the details about who is being reported and etc. I want to say, do you think those channels are the real naive foreigners here in China? They just scratch on the surface of our society, and they have only been to those first tier, second tier cities to see the modern part of this country, and they really attracted by the good side of our country, but they do not have the ability to observe some problems of this country, or they do have white supremacists in here because everyone see them as a internet celebrity, and so they do not have to face the ordinary Chinese daily life and all this stress of their surviving things. So the question is, do you think they are really naive, or they are acting to be a naive foreigner?
Well, first of all, I think this question is need to break into two parts. So I think, are they really naive? I'm not so sure, but I want to say they I actually have talked with them. I know some of them in private. I would say they really love China, whether it is intentionally or they actually love it by heart. But I think because having a different nationality and having a different phrase from the ordinary Chinese people, they do have some certain privilege. Okay, so actually we can just take one tiny example. On the street, if you walk on the street, you see some stranger, nobody gonna say hi to you, right? But if you're a foreigner, the chance is more likely they would they would say hi to you or give you a smiley face. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because people in China, they not everybody have seen foreigner before, and we in our culture we also tend to treat the outsider nicely, because we want to be hospitable. So it is okay, but as if you're a foreigner here, so that's why it will give you some sense of privilege or some things that normal Chinese they will never have, right? That's just one tiny example. And I also feel like if you're a foreigner, like I have mentioned in my previous videos, if you're a foreigner, if you just step your foot in China for the first time and you see all those great development of the country, all those public infrastructures, skyscrapers, all those busy streets, I would say 99% of the travelers here, you are like China, right? So and that's the thing. And also, if you don't speak the language, it's really hard for you to have a equivalent experience like those Chinese guys or girls, right?
But
so
do you think there's a problem, like when they talking about the good side of China as well as talking about the bad side of the Western countries, but they have never touched any problem
about China?
Right?
So yeah, I think I spoke with some of them, and they feel like the media in the West, they have a completely false view about China, and they feel like they're obligated somewhat to, you know, to try to stand up and point to their face and say, hey, China is not something that bad like you have described in the Western media. I somewhat kind of agree with this kind of point, but I just want to let them know that because
they are trying to speak for China. They are trying to present
the
for
good
the
side
1.4 billion.
Yeah, but I think the problem here is that the reason why the West media got so many false information about China is not because they intentionally, well, you can say they intentionally do that because they want to gain some views, but the other part is because the normal Chinese, they don't have the ability to voice their personal view to the outside world. That's why we have so many, you know, misconception about China. It's just like North Korea, right? People, we don't know anything about North Korea. Why? Because they don't open up. They don't let the ordinary people to talk about this kind of, you know, their daily life. So that's why we have misconception about North Korea. But I don't think that the obligation is from the media, because you don't let them to talk to yourself. I mean, I totally agree that some Western media, they do talk something very badly about China, or they tend to exaggerate a little bit. I think, but why do they do that? Because in China, everything is not transparent.
Okay.
The normal people, they don't have their voice outside of China. So just think about it. The Western people, they don't even trust their own government. How do you expect them to trust the Chinese government? That's not gonna happen. So I don't think the pro-China YouTuber, they can ever justify, or give China a different image, because China doesn't give their citizens ability to speak for themselves. I think the only way for us to clear some misconception is for Chinese people to say for themselves, instead of for Western to discuss about how good China is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think the pro-China YouTubers, they are trying to change the perception of the Western audience, understanding about China, or they tend to get the Chinese audience, to agree with their viewpoint? Because for sure, I mean, from my point of view, maybe I can partially agree with you. I do not agree with you is I think those guys are not that naive to a certain level to see everything is very good and everything is like a paradise here in China. And they do have the intention to get some attention from a certain group of audience to get benefit from that. And sometimes I quote their words is against their words. You can use what they are talking about in the Chinese social media and bring it back to against what they are talking about on YouTube. This is the problem that I think that also prove my assumption. Actually, they are not that naive to be a totally naive, ignorant, happy foreigner in China.
I see. So I actually haven't followed their channel, or I haven't watched a ton of video from them.
Yeah, you're out
So-
of the.
So maybe that's one of the reasons, but I feel like some of them, at least I know, they themselves have a positive experience about China. Maybe they have also experienced some bad things, but when the positive side outweigh all those negative side, you always feel like, okay, there is some bad stuff, but still your overall like experience are somewhat positive, so that's why it can form this positive views, right? But one of the thing is probably because they don't speak Chinese, so they is, you know, if you don't speak Chinese, a lot of negative news will be filtered out, just like we mentioned about Mocha, right? If our Chinese official media, they don't ever report Mocha, how do you expect those things got translated into English and report to the outside world? If you don't speak Chinese, if you can't even read a fundamental Chinese character, then you will never be able to read those news at the first place, because those things only exist in Chinese social media. Maybe some of them, 1 out of 10 times, maybe they got picked up by some Western media, but that's basically it. Most of those negative news, they only exist in the Chinese social media, and if you don't have a decent Chinese speaking ability, then you will never able to see different side of China. You always see the good side of China, right? But the bad side, maybe our social media, our official English outlet, they don't report that, so you will never see that kind of side of China.
Yeah, I mean, it is maybe a little bit like I talk this like a whole pro-China YouTuber as a one entity. Actually, they are like different individuals get together to make like similar content, but maybe some of them are like really believe what they are saying, but some of them maybe not. So it is quite case by case from my my opinion, especially the person that I made. You know, that was like what I believe. They are not talking. At least they are talking like dishonest stuffs, you know, in their videos. But anyway, so I think it's quite enough for this topic.